Tonight on CBS 19 News at 10, bracing for impact. Hurricane Matthew hammering Florida with wicked winds and relentless rain.
Hundreds of people in the Caribbean have already been killed, and Florida's governor warning tonight that he expects even more death in his state.
Time is running out. There are no excuses not to evacuate. We should not be putting people's lives at risk because you made the foolish decision not to evacuate.
When he said, "This will kill you," not can kill you, it will kill you.
That was it.
That was it.
And while some people are refusing to leave their homes, others say they are heeding the governor's advice.
23,000 people without power there. A look at the devastation right now.
This is CBS 19 News at 10.
Thanks for sticking around after the game tonight. For CBS 19 News at 10, I'm Nina Harrelson.
And I'm Brian Bose. Hurricane Matthew has reportedly already killed more than 269 people in the Caribbean, and forecasters predict it will be catastrophic and costly here in the United States. 2
million people across the southeast have been warned to board up their homes and move inland as that storm barrels in with 130-mile-per-hour winds. Don Champion is in Florida tonight as people there prepare for the worst.
Hurricane Matthew is making its presence known in Florida.
If it comes on land, one of the worst hurricanes Florida has seen.
The outer bands of the storm started pounding southern parts of Florida's Atlantic coast with heavy winds and waves late this afternoon. Forecasters expect the storm to make landfall near Cape Canaveral overnight.
This storm's a monster. I'm going to pray for everybody's safety.
Governor Rick Scott urged people to seek shelter before it's too late, but some intend to ride out the storm at home.
We've been through so many of these and not had any, serious altercations. Hopefully it'll be the same thing.
Officials condemned that kind of overconfidence.
You're a fool, because this hurricane is unlike any other hurricane we've seen.
Matthew is packing sustained winds of more than 100 miles per hour. A storm surge of more than 11 feet could also flood part of the coastline.
9 out of 10 people who have died as a result of water. The wind can be damaging and deadly too. All the hazards are in play, an extremely dangerous situation.
Buildings across South Florida are boarded up. Grocery stores' shelves are empty. Florida's major airports look like ghost towns. Amusement parks are shuttered. The governor warned people to expect power outages for days.
You should do everything you can to be self-sufficient for 3 days.
As the storm took aim, more than 2 million people from Florida to the Carolinas were told to move inland. Don Champion, CBS News, Orlando.
Forecasters are saying this could be the worst storm in over a century.
And as they mentioned in that piece there, most theme parks in Florida are going to be closed tonight and tomorrow because of that devastating hurricane. Universal Orlando says Wet n Wild, Universal Studios, Universal's Islands of Adventure, and Universal City Walk are shut down. Halloween Horror Nights is also canceled. Disney's theme parks, water parks, ESPN's Wide World of Sports, Disney Springs, and miniature golf courses are closed. The Coca-Cola, Orlando, and SeaWorld also shuttered, but Busch Gardens and Adventure Island are expected to stay open.
And sporting events along the East Coast are being affected too. College football games are postponed or in limbo. Florida and LSU is postponed with no makeup date yet announced. Other NCAA games are also in jeopardy of being delayed or moved as well. Same goes for teams in the pro ranks. The biggest question mark right now is when and where the Miami Dolphins and Tennessee Titans will play. They are currently still scheduled for Sunday afternoon.
And as people in Florida prepare for that storm to bear down on them, many people back here at home are preparing to help those victims impacted by it.
Yeah, CBS 19's Andrea Martinez is at the Red Cross in Tyler tonight to tell us how they're getting ready to jump into action if needed. Andrea.
In the days ahead, many on the East Coast will be trying to recover from the impact of Hurricane Matthew. Food, water, and medical supplies will be in short demand. Humanitarian organizations like the Red Cross have already begun planning to step in as soon as the storm passes. The East Texas Red Cross says their group of volunteers are on standby to travel to Florida and provide aid there. We talked to the director, Tammy Prater.
We, are always in a state of preparedness. When, a big storm is brewing, we gear things up, and, the number one thing that we do is we poll our volunteers to find out who's available. That is ongoing right now.
Many local churches and other relief agencies throughout the United States will be collecting donations in the weeks to come. You can also help by supporting and making a monetary donation to organizations like the Red Cross, Salvation Army, and UNICEF. They tell us that is always the best way to help in situations like these, rather than dropping off supplies to their offices, which oftentimes they can't get to those affected areas. For ways that you can help, make sure to visit cbs19.tv. Reporting in Tyler, Andrea Martinez.
Now, if you have loved ones in the path of the storm, communicating with them might be tough. So here are a few things you might want to keep in mind. Your best odds for getting calls to go through are going to be during off-peak hours. Text messages could work even when calls don't. And turn to social media to see if your friends and family have checked in as safe on Facebook or if they are tweeting.
The deteriorating weather out east is affecting travel here in Texas as well. More than 3,000 flights have been canceled around the country, including dozens in Dallas and Houston. Travelers we heard from at George W. Bush International were either very happy or very worried, depending which direction they were hoping to travel.
We are afraid because we came here from vacations and now we have to change our plans now.
We were just happy that we got out in time because we've been planning this trip to see the Aggies play, and now we're finally here.
If you're stuck in Texas and trying to get to Florida, you have two basic options. You're either entitled to a seat on your airline's next available flight or a refund on the unused portion of the ticket.
And people who live in the Houston area know all too well the dangers and turmoil caused by an oncoming hurricane. Back in September of 2005, Hurricane Rita led to the worst traffic jam in Houston's history as people frantically tried to evacuate the city just a few weeks after Hurricane Katrina devastated the Gulf. The people of Houston are now watching as Hurricane Matthew closes in on the East Coast and looking back on some of the lessons learned from those past disasters. Francisco Sanchez with the Office of Emergency Management remembers it firsthand.
No matter how well we do something, there's always lessons to improve. And the evacuation during Hurricane Rita taught us that we can do evacuation better. There wasn't enough fuel supply along the evacuation corridors. The evacuation maps weren't easy to read, and there was no plan yet for how to do contraflow.
Around 2.5 million people hit the road in Houston before that storm hit, causing serious problems as people ran out of gas on the interstate. More than 100 evacuees died in the gridlock. Now emergency employees say people are evacuated by zip code, and the city is working with fuel suppliers to make sure evacuation routes have plenty of fuel before a hurricane comes.
After our story last night on the continuing search for missing Kilgore woman Shariah Grant, the reward for information in her disappearance has doubled. Gregg County Crime Stoppers and Grant's family are now offering $10,000 to whomever can lead them to the pregnant 20-year-old. She vanished more than a month ago, and her due date has since come and gone. A couple of weeks after her disappearance, her house mysteriously caught on fire, but investigators say they don't believe that fire is connected to her case. Students at Townville Elementary School returned to class today. It's been more than a week since deputies say a 14-year-old opened fire on the playground, shooting 2 students and a teacher after killing his own father. 6-year-old Jacob Hall died days after that shooting and was laid to rest yesterday in a superhero-themed send-off. Loved ones and people in the community dressed up as Batman, Power Rangers, and Iron Man. Reporter Christine Scarpelli explains how the school tried to follow suit today to make students feel safe.
Students were welcomed back to school Thursday with words of encouragement and love. Parents and teachers say they're comfortable here moving on.
Because we're Townville strong.
Donna Pabin walked her 3rd grade son into school like most other parents. She says extra law enforcement and support staff were a welcome sight.
I can't say enough about Townville School and how much these teachers love on these children. And I have every confidence that we're going to have a great day.
Anderson School District 4 says grief counselors train parents and administrators on how to listen to students and answer questions. Staff members also volunteered to ride buses as students arrived and go home from school. Their goal is to get back into a routine.
The new normal as we hear it, things are different for us now, but we clearly, our focus is on the children and providing them what they need to be successful academically and certainly safe. So that's what our focus is on today.
Pabin says therapy dogs, superheroes, and an extra deputy or 2 were a good distraction.
We can't live in fear. So My first instinct was that I wasn't going to let him come back to school, but you can't live like that.
Prosecutors there say they have filed a motion to have that shooting suspect tried as an adult. He's charged with 2 counts of murder, 3 counts of attempted murder, and 5 counts of possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime.
Coming up on CBS 19 News at 10, an early taste of the Red River rivalry. Try saying that 3 times
I don't
fast.
want to. OU fans invaded Dallas today to challenge the Longhorn faithful to a tug of war with a plane. Find out which group of football junkies won the competition right after this.
Then meet some of the most underrated artists in East Texas. They haven't been given many advantages in life, yet their creations are good enough to hang in any museum. We'll share their story when CBS 19 News at 10 continues.
An art instructor is bringing out some East Texans' hidden talents. Several artists from a Longview homeless shelter presented their latest masterpieces at the Longview Museum of Fine Arts just a couple hours ago. Our Tristan Hardy has that story.
Inspired by the works of Picasso and Van Gogh, Phyllis Jones has a different way of making art come to life, blending bright colors and rhinestones. Since her daughter's death, painting is her way of healing.
And I was so sad, and I found myself, like other stories, finding myself with a newness in life.
Tonight, she calls herself a real artist because some of her paintings have soul. Sally Rathburn was the first to buy one.
I think she is a true artist. She reminds me of Clementine Hunter somewhat, or Grandma Moses.
So this has been like a really healing opportunity for them.
The Newgate Homeless Shelter is where Anut Bhandari volunteers his time hosting an art class. Tonight's show is called the Healing Art Project. People get the chance to check out some of the local talent, interact with the artists, and learn their stories behind each piece.
That's the best part of I feel really good when I see the smile on their face.
For every piece of art sold, half the money goes to Newgate Homeless Shelter, and the other half goes to the artists.
On this one right here, it was inspired by a picture of a rain cloud that was formed after a tornado in White Oak, Texas.
Tonight, Phyllis Jones reached her goals. Becoming an artist, she says, took 50 years to accomplish.
Thank God I was able to sell one. I feel like I'm a real artist.
In Longview, Tristan Hardy, CBS 19.
New tonight, clowns are getting a bad rap these days because of those pranks across the country. And in North Texas, it's even interfering with programs first responders have been using for years. Frisco firefighters have an entire mock city called Safety Town to teach kids fire prevention, but like a lot of local departments, they also use fire clowns when they visit schools. Well, now after a series of clown pranks across the country, some schools are canceling shows and asking fire departments to keep their clowns away.
We were in the schools for a fun educational environment to try to get back down to a very fun level to where it's not very authoritative and non-intimidating.
For schools that choose to continue to use those programs, firefighters are having their clowns remove their makeup and costumes in between performances. MedStar is also pulling the clowns it uses on Halloween to help children with medical needs go trick-or-treating. Getting a little out of hand now at this point.
I would say so. That's a shame. The legendary Red River Showdown, thanks for putting Showdown instead of Rivalry, is less than 48 hours away in Dallas.
Yeah, but earlier today, a different kind of competition between Sooners and Longhorns fans. And yes, there was a ring involved in this showdown, too. Take a look.
Sooner Nation, hook 'em. Horns down.
This is Southwest Airlines Red River Showdown, a battle between UT and OU fans anxious to see who can pull a plane faster. Jason Green was pretty nervous, too.
My heart's beating a million miles an hour. It's incredible.
Hold that thought. Back to the teams, the prep, the strategy.
A lot of encouragement and a lot of excitement.
It's a lot of face shakes. You know, it's a lot of like bending the knees.
And speaking of knees. Turns out Jason had nothing to worry about. When push comes to shove, love always wins. But when it comes to pulling planes...
My main strategy is not to pull a hamstring.
Texas came in at 31.9 seconds. OU, 32.41.
Texas won this one. The fans...
We gotta get psyched up, guys.
will now focus on the big game. Well, except for these two.
My mouth is on the floor.
Incredible feeling.
He's pretty incredible, right?
The real Red River rivalry is this Saturday morning at 11 o'clock over on Fox Sports 1.
You did a good job with
Couldn't
that.
help but put it in there. Good job. Nope.
All right, still ahead tonight as Hurricane Matthew bears down on Florida. Is there a chance it could come back a second time? John Adams is here to tell us.
And Alberto has a look at what we can expect here at home. It's next on CBS 19 News at 10.
Welcome back and happy Friday Eve. We're still looking at Hurricane Matthew, still pushing to the northwest out here, expected to make landfall right around the Melbourne, Cape Canaveral, Space Coast, Cocoa Beach area later on tonight. And again, bringing some pretty strong winds along the coast of Florida right now, some heavy torrential downpours right now. As far as the wind field, you can see the stronger of the winds on the east side of the storm, definitely still out to sea. That's the good news of what's going on right now. The stronger winds are currently off the coast out there of Florida, so we are seeing some gusty winds though, but nothing hurricane strength quite yet along the coast. Now here's what we have going on. We're getting close though. Vero Beach, the most recent gust at 11:05 here was at about 62 miles per hour, 47 in Stewart. West Palm Beach is not reporting because a lot of folks out here in Palm Beach County are without power right now. So that sensor's without power. We're not getting any data out of that one. 51 miles per hour currently in Melbourne and Disney World, where Mickey Mouse lays his head to rest. 37 miles per hour right now, where they are closed all the way through Friday. Here's what we have as far as watches and warnings. A pretty vast area of hurricane warnings, anywhere from Fort Lauderdale, Broward County up the coast into Georgia and even South Carolina. That's a very impressive satellite imagery. Here's your path throughout the next couple of days. By Friday, 8 o'clock at night, we're looking at a Category 3 just to the east and northeast of Jacksonville, around Savannah, Georgia. It's going to continue hugging the coast all the way through Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and eventually weaken to a Category 1 in a tropical storm and then get back out to the ocean. But unfortunately, back to the south and southwest, through the Bahamas one more time as a weak tropical storm with sustained winds of about 45 miles per hour. That's going to be Tuesday night right around 8 o'clock or so. And as far as what the models have for that, it potentially has it pushing out into the Gulf of Mexico. So something we need to keep an eye on because the sea surface temperatures are definitely ripe for strengthening conditions out there. As far as what we have going on in Tyler right now, 76 degrees. It feels like it's 77. A little bit muggy out there. Winds light and variable from the south and southwest, about 3 to 5 miles per hour. Temperatures across the region, 65 Marshall, 68 Jefferson, 71 Linden, East Texas Regional Airport, 73 degrees, 75 Tyler Pounds, and we're still holding on to the low 80s out towards Dallas and Fort Worth, 76 Waxahachie. Here's what we have officially for today. We actually topped off at 92, 11 above our average of 81, and then 5 degrees shy of our record back in 1911 of 97 degrees. No rainfall. That deficit continues, and sunset officially was at 6:59. Here's what the radar looks like right now. We look relatively clear. However, we go ahead and pan out. We do see that cold front that's going to be approaching Friday. Some scattered showers and thunderstorms ahead of that. Even some severe weather just to the southeast of Wichita Falls. We had some warnings earlier east of Oklahoma City, and again a pretty decent cold front coming through. But the bad news is that rain won't really make it to East Texas. We do have some downward moving air, some sinking air, and drier air out here. So as we head towards 6 o'clock, you can see the rain pushing just north of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We're still clear out here, so you're going to have a quiet commute to school and to work for Friday. Temperatures, mid to upper 60s for the most part, but once it makes its way into East Texas, most of those showers and thunderstorms collapse rather rapidly, and temperatures already above average as we head towards lunchtime. Mid to late afternoon, the rain clears out. We'll start seeing a few more breaks in the clouds across East Texas, which means we're going to have some favorable weather conditions out here for Friday night football. Here's your 7-day forecast. It's a pretty decent one out here. Lots of sunshine, cooler temperatures for the weekend, 82 degrees for your high Saturday and Sunday. Columbus Day, can't complain unless you have to go to work. That's going to be us. So that forecast is online, cbs19.tv. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Alberto. And there are some very real fears tonight that storm could circle back around and hit Florida for a second time.
Yeah, our chief meteorologist, John Adams, here tonight to explain that whole situation.
There are a number of forecast models called spaghetti plots that predict where hurricanes will go days in advance. Many of these predict Hurricane Matthew will slide along the east coast of Florida, then make a loop over the Atlantic and turn back toward Florida early next week. Project out 6 days, and some models take Matthew into the eastern Gulf of Mexico on Wednesday. Gulf waters are still above 80 degrees, and if other conditions at that time are favorable, this storm could reorganize. Matthew could be one of those storms that makes landfall in the U.S. 2 or 3 times, including along the Gulf Coast. Stay tuned.
Thank you, John. The heated rivalry between the Blue Jays and the Rangers, wow, man, kicked off today in Arlington.
And it was not pretty for the Rangers, right?
You know, this shaking of the head right there pretty much sums up what the game was right. That's absolutely correct. They picked the worst day to have one of the worst games of this season. They've definitely had better days. Now, we'll have much more on this coming up. Plus, our very own Keith Leventhal was there, and he gives us some insight. Stick around. We'll be right back after this.
ETFinalscore.com is brought to you by Ultra Federal Credit Union, Pelche Chevrolet, Dairy Queen, and Christus Trinity Mother Francis Health System.
UGLY. And that's pretty much the only way I can describe the Rangers game today. It wasn't exciting, wasn't thrilling, definitely wasn't suspenseful. In fact, it was just flat out ugly. Allow me to show you. So much was made of this rivalry because of the bad blood between Jose Bautista and the Rangers. Rangers fans are excited, not for long. Speaking of Bautista, his first at bat, listen to the crowd. Yeah, way to give him a nice Texas welcome. That's a standing boo right there. Now, he will go on to pop out. Next, top of the third base is loaded for Troy Tulowitzki, and he makes them pay. He ropes one to deep right center, and just like making curfew, everyone's running home. Bases clearing triple. That would put the Blue Jays up 5-0. He dives in for it. Next, we're going to go to the top of the fourth. Melvin Upton up, and he's sending this ball up, like way up. He feels blessed. Deep left field for that home run all the way. That would extend the Blue Jays lead to 6. And Clay Hamels, yeah, the former 2008 World Series MVP Clay Hamels would be done after this. He gives up 6 runs to the top of the 9th. Bautista up, and this just made me sick to my stomach. Yeah, he remembers those boos from earlier, and he takes his anger out on the ball. Never boo a man with a beard like that, because he'll do that. That was the nail in the coffin right there. The Blue Jays would go on to take Game 1 10-1. Unfortunate. Now, while we had to witness this Rangers beat down on TV, CBS 19's Keith Leventhal was in Arlington to get a first-hand look at all the action, and maybe, just maybe, he can let us in on why the Rangers played so poorly today.
Perhaps Rangers manager Jeff Bannister said it best. When you have your number one guy out there, you don't envision that. I'm not sure anyone expected the best team in the American League to only get 4 hits and give up 10 runs to a team that just played 2 days ago. But that's what happened. And now the Rangers face a 1-0 deficit in a short best-of-5 series.
He was dealing today. He had a good stuff. It was the man in the strike zone, down and in, down away, up and in, up and away. He was on his game today.
This is what it is. It's one game, and you have to give the credit. Estrada threw an unbelievable game today. Keep us all balanced the whole game.
They were just aggressive today. They scored some runs, put some pressure on Cole early, and they're a tough team.
Fortunately, the Rangers don't have much time to think about this loss, with Game 2 just around the corner.
They can come back tomorrow and think about this game. It's a good nothing good for us.
In baseball, you have to have a short memory in order to play this game. So you gotta forget about what happened today, turn the page, and tomorrow come with a positive attitude.
I mean, it was just one game. I mean, we have a couple more games left, and we just wanna try to come back tomorrow like it's the first game and try to do the best that we can for win the game.
It is what it is, man. I think that they play better than us today. Nothing to be ashamed. Just turn the page and be ready for tomorrow. Stay focused.
We throw unbelievable today, so to send a pass. And tomorrow we're going to come and tie the series.
The Rangers have been in this exact position before. The only other time they had home field advantage in the ALDS was 2011. That year, in Game 1, they lost at home to Tampa Bay 9-0. Then they struck back and won 3 straight games to win the series. So it can be done. At Globe Life Park, Keith Leventhal, CBS 19 Sports.
See, I keep telling you guys, one game. It's just one game, right?
It is just one game, and to end on a positive note with the Rangers, Adrian Beltre is a finalist for the Hank Aaron Award, so at least not all is bad for the Rangers.
And you can't win them all.
It's just one day.
On.
It's just one day.
One day. All right, one
Exactly.
more check of the
We'll bounce back
forecast
tomorrow.
with Alberto when we come back.
You're watching CBS 19 News at 10. Stick around. Alberto with a final look at that forecast.
A cold front comes through Friday. It's going to bring some rain showers for us, but nothing really too widespread. Most of it will be across our western counties, and it'll be all done and over with by Friday Night Football. Temperatures slightly cooler with drier humidity across East Texas for the weekend, 82. And then your overnight lows, that's really where you're going to feel that cold front dropping down into 53 Sunday night or Sunday morning, and then 53 Monday morning out there. So not all too bad. Enjoy Columbus Day. Enjoy the weekend.
All right, will do, except we have to be here Columbus Day, as you mentioned earlier. We don't get a 3-day weekend like everybody else. Want.
Gross.
All right, finally tonight, Taco Bell offering a few of its biggest fans a chance to sleep over.
Ooh, Taco Bell in Canada launching an Airbnb. There will be bunk beds, couches, a big screen TV, even a Taco Bell butler to serve you. The deal is to celebrate the launch of the Steak Double Dia, a quesadilla with double the steak.
But of course, Brian, there's nothing even on that menu that you could eat if you were to win.
I don't care. I'd
that
still stay there.
contest.
I could have a bean burrito, a lot of bean burritos, and hang out at Taco Bell.
All right,
That's all I
McDonald's,
want.
where you at? Come on,
That's
McDonald's.
all I want. He wants to sleep in a chalupa.
I want a Big
He
Mac.
did say that. Wants
Thanks
to
for
sleep
watching,
in a
everyone.
chalupa. CBS 19 this morning starts at 5 a.m. Good night.